Okay, in the meantime, while I'm waiting for the boats to come in, as far as the color of the bust, I also opted not to do the top hat like you saw in the pictures. I just want to make sure that it doesn't get too heavy to the point that the rig has trouble moving it back and forth. So that's why I'm not going to do the top hat. But I think with that it looks just fine. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to work on the base. I went ahead and glued it to the 2x area on the bottom here that gives it a little more stability. I got to put like a bevel ledge on that to make the transition, from here to here. Then I got to make my plaque here, fill in all the little holes, and then I got to do some sanding up here to get rid of where the saw blade kind of chipped up the wood a little bit. Do a little bit of wood putty or something like that on there just to smooth that out before that gets painted. So in the meantime, I'm going to be working on this base, and then when the boats come in, then I'll be putting everything together and we will get this thing painted. All right, I got all the little bevel strips on, all the way from the bottom to the top. I put an extra one at the top here just because I didn't like seeing that little piece of plywood at the bottom. So I wanted to make a nice transition from one to the other. Still a little wet. Now this area right here where I said I got to touch up, I sanded it down to get all the loose stuff off. All I'm going to use is just some regular body filler, automotive body filler. I'm just going to mix it up, put it on there, sand it. Since I'm painting this and I'm not going to be staining it, no matter what I do, I'm gonna be covering it anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. So anybody that say like if you've never used body filler before, you just put a little bit of body filler on something, you just add a little bit of a hardener to it. Obviously, the hotter it is outside, or the more of this you add, the faster it's going to dry on you. I know there's an exact formula, but it's kind of one of those I really couldn't tell you right offhand. It all depends on how much of this you put on your mixing tray versus how much of this you're going to want to use, but it's very little compared to what you would probably put on there. So I'm going to mix some of that up and I'm going to put it on there. All right, I went to just a hobby store, picked up some letters and some numbers. What I'm going to do is just going to put on here. I'm going to pick the date 1858 because my cemetery sign says established in 1810. So I figured that'll be a good time frame for that. Right now, I'm figuring out my spacing. Looks like I'm going to be for the letters here about 3/4 of an inch over from here. What I'll do is I'll take these two. I'll put these in first, and then what I'll do is I'll figure out where this is centered, and I'll center that, and then kind of the same thing with these. I'll figure out where these need to be to fit the best, and then I'll figure out where these are to be centered, and I'll make a mark and I'll center them, and then I'll glue everything in place. So I'm going to start working on that now. Alright, and kind of for a finishing touch on this, I have these little pieces of wood that I picked up for another project a long time ago. I had to sand off had a little thing on the bottom, so I sanded that off. I'm gonna glue those. It's right here to kind of make it look like, the pins and bolts or rivets or whatever you want to call them that are holding it to the prop. So I'm gonna glue those in place, let those dry. I'm gonna take a little bit of that caulking I use to make the hair and the facial features to fill these lines in, so I can smooth those out, and then once everything's dry, I'll be ready for paint. All right, now to let this sit here and dry. I'm still about a day or so away from the final results to know which color format we're going with. So whatever we go with will determine on what this is going to be painted. But I am going to paint it prior to it going onto the prop, and then I'll just do the final aging after it's on the prop. So this way I don't have to do so much being careful with the prop after I paint the base, the gray and all that stuff, because the bottom's going to be concrete no matter what. It just depends on what the bust in this is going to be. Is essentially the mystery at the moment. So. But let's just let this sit here and dry. Alright, pretty much what I'm doing right here is I want to, give it a good test run before I actually paint it, just in case I say have to do any kind of adjusting or anything like that. I'd rather not do that after it's painted. So I just been letting it sit here in the shop for just a little bit. I'm gonna let it run for a little while longer just to make sure that I don't have any potential issues, and then hopefully I'll be painting it very shortly. All right, I wanted to kind of show this part real fast. Let me go ahead and lift it off here. What I did here is, you can see all I did is I just wrapped some masking tape around the shaft, essentially the part that's going up inside the head. The reason I did that was because this isn't one of those reindeer style motors where if it gets into a bind, it'll just go the opposite direction. If this were to get into a bind, depending on how strong that little gear mechanism is in there, a couple things could happen. Either one, the whole thing would just stop moving and possibly burn the motor up. Two, that little metal linkage that was in there, it might bend that linkage, ruining how much swing that I have, or possibly even strip out the actual gear mechanism that's in there. So I want it to be, secure enough on there to where it moves just fine, which you can see in the video was moving just perfectly fine, but still loose enough to where this can still move if for some reason that thing were to stop moving for some reason. Like, say we have a rainstorm and a bunch of leaves fell down inside there or something like that, and I didn't see it, and they got in there and kind of bound it up or something. You just never know. So that's why I want to make it as free as possible. And then on the bottom of the head, you see I just ran just a piece of copper pipe all the way inside here. I put a plastic cap on the top of it, so this way, once it bottoms out here, it's not going to go any further. And I have it sitting about 1/4 of an inch off the base here, so this way it's not touching this at all, and it's not touching the sides at all. So this way it spins nice and freely. So, but yeah, you see it just snug enough to go on there, but still loose enough to where it can spin. And I'm only spinning the head. I'm not actually spinning the whole mechanism. But now if I turn it on, you'll see that it spins perfectly fine. I just wanted to kind of show how I did that mechanism portion, because like I said, I want to make sure that it still moves good, but I don't do any damage to it if it were to get bound up for some reason. So, all right, it's going to be paint day. I got some nice sunny weather out at the moment, which is going to be good for it. The copper with the patina won the vote, so that's what's going to be on this particular one. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by painting the entire thing one neutral color, gray. And then what I'll do is I'll be obviously putting the stone texture for the bottom. I will make sure that I don't get any of that stuff on the bust, so this way I can keep that nice and smooth. I have that one section kind of taped off because that's where the plaque is going to go, and I'd rather glue the plaque to that foil than to glue it to fresh paint, just to make sure that it sticks really well. So once I paint, I'll just peel that off. That'll leave me a nice clean area with the foil that I can glue to. That's all that's for. But I'm gonna go out and get started. All right, before I get painted, don't get all upset that I'm doing the copper with the patina. I already had plans on doing a couple different busts, so I got two of these. So what I'm going to be doing is this one won the vote for the copper with patina. So the next one is going to be kind of a marble look. So I already have some plans already in mind of what I'm going to be doing for the second one. It's not going to be animated. It's just going to be a static or still kind of prop. But I'm going to be mounting it to an older prop that I built a couple years ago. I think it's going to fit on there perfectly. So I hope you guys enjoy seeing that video when I go to make that video. But for the time being, let's go ahead and get out there and get started painting. And I don't know if you can hear it in the thing, but it sounds like I got some rain coming. Might not be painting. Gotta love Mother Nature. Literally 5 minutes ago, it was nice and sunny out, and now it's raining. So I guess I'm going to be waiting a little while to see if it clears up. Hopefully I can still paint it today. If not, I guess I'll be painting tomorrow. All right, well, we're waiting to see what the weather's going to do. I'm going to go ahead and spray the dark metallic copper on the plaque here. I usually like to get like the metallic because it gives it a little bit more of a sheen to it than just like a regular spray would. So I'm going to go ahead and get this painted, and then hopefully we'll see if I can do the other half. All right, this is as far as I'm going to be able to go tonight. You see where I lightened up the gray some. It just seemed a little too dark, so I just added a little white to my gray, my little mixing cup, to get it just a little bit lighter than what was on there. Since the paint is still really fresh, I really don't want to lay it down to do the plaque because I don't want it to get stuck to the floor. So I just put a little support there for now. So tomorrow, when everything's fully dry, I'll go ahead and start the aging process. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with the painting process of the patina and the aging. I do have a couple pictures I'm going to show real fast, and these pictures are essentially what I'm kind of using as kind of like my baseline for how I want the bust to look and how I want the tower to look. So my plan is to get it obviously somewhat kind of in that that nature. So I'm kind of looking at it, being that I put a date on there of 1858. That's kind of showing this thing's been sitting around for 160 years. So it's got to look, nice and old. It can't look like something that's only been around for, say 25 or 30 years. So that's going to be my baseline. So let's get started. All right, I'm ready to start with the green. You see where I cut some cardboard to go around the bust and the plaque, so this way I can try to keep as much green off of the base as possible until I'm ready to start putting some on the base. All right, that's dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint some black in a few key areas, and then I'm also gonna put some brown in a few key areas, and hopefully this will be just about done. And then once everything's fully dry, then obviously I'll plug it in and make sure that no paint got down inside there and is causing the rig to get stuck or anything of that nature. So let's continue painting. All right, and I consider this one to be done. I like the way the patina came out on this one. Based on the year that I have on the plaque, it kind of shows that this one's been around for a very long time. So I figured obviously this one's probably going to need a little more green on it than I did on the other ones. But I was also trying to find that nice balance between having a lot of green on there to where it's kind of running down onto the column, but not too much green to where it kind of looked like it was overly done or excessive. So I think I have it to a spot where I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to leave it alone, not going to keep messing with it. I also took the time to highlight areas like the suit and tie area, kind of the mouth, the eyes, and all that stuff. So this way, from a distance, those kind of stand out a little bit. So you kind of know what you're looking at. Otherwise, they would kind of just get, disappear into the paint. I also got the plaque done. You can see I did like rust on the rivets that are holding it to the structure. And I have a nice little, runish with the plaque itself below like the numbers and the letters itself. Overall, I think this one came out pretty good. Leave me a comment, tell me what you think. And thanks for watching.